Hey guys, I'm BSC1 again. So I just recently watched my old Yveltal Garbodor deck list video, and I realized it was kind of outdated. I had things like 3 Sableye, and Super Odd, and just other cards that aren't very good to run anymore. So I figured I would do an updated deck list video. So after Flash Fire has come out, and after I've tested with this deck for about 3 months, this is what I've come up with. So I'll just get right to this. So we'll start with a Pokemon. For my non-EX attackers, I have one Boufflant, one Sableye, and one Yveltal non-EX. Um, I used to run 3 Sableye actually. I've tried 2 also. I think 1 is just what's necessary at this point. You don't really need more than that. Because some people aren't running any actually, but I think if you're running random receiver, you just kind of have to run 1 because it's so powerful to be able to junk hunt for random receiver if you're dead drawing. Because dead drawing can just basically lose you the game, and if you just have to lose 1 prize to get out of a supporter drain, I think it's worth it. The one Bouffalon is mostly for Plasma and Virizion Genesect. It helps a lot against those decks because you can easily achieve the 170 damage with a laser and a muscle band attached to it. It also works well with Yveltal because Oblivion Wing is your only real energy acceleration for Bouffalon because you can't Dark Patch to it. You can only attach to it, and I don't run Energy Switch because this is the Garbodor version and you don't really have room for it. But anyway, and then you have Yveltal non-EX because it's got 130 HP, which is pretty much your most beefy attacker. And Oblivion Wing can spread damage to Pokemon early game. Just kind of poking at them and setting up other Pokemon can help a lot. Also, Darkness Blade will help out very rarely, but occasionally. And Resistance to Fighting is nice against Landorus if you ever go against a big basics deck, but that's also rare. It's mostly just for Oblivion Wing, but I thought I'd point out those other 2 parts of it. Then for the Garbodor line, it's just 2-2. You might not like that I run the Tool Drop one. I don't know. I do it. I like it. Standard in every deck, every Garbodor deck, just 2-2. Anyway, 2 Darkrai. I just have 2 for consistency. Helps a lot against Empoleon, which is not very popular, but it might become popular again because it did well in France. I believe 2 Empoleon decks made top 8 in their nationals. So that's it's very helpful for that reason. Mostly I use it for Dark Cloak though, so when Garbodor doesn't have a tool attached to it or it's not in play yet, I can use Dark Cloak. Also helps against Virizion Genesect because I'll do a lot of damage with Yveltal early game, and then there'll just be a Pokemon sitting on the bench that has 120 or 140 damage on it, and then I can just hit it with Night Spear twice and then knock out it from the bench. So it's very helpful for that reason. Also helps against Plasma because Yveltal is weak to Electric, and Thunderous can do 160, sometimes even 180 damage to it, which will knock out it, obviously. So Darkrai is great for not taking even close to as much damage. Pretty much like 70 at the most if Garbodor isn't in play and they have a Muscle Band on that Thunderous. So yeah, it's really great for that reason. Also helps set up knockouts, with the 30 damage to the bench. I think Darkrai is a very good attacker, better than most people think. I think most people use this deck just using Yveltal the whole time and don't really use Darkrai, and I think that's a mistake because Darkrai is actually very good. I need to get 2 set ones. I have 1 promo one and 1 set, and that bothers me a lot. So we have 3 Yveltal. This is just the main attacker. Should have 3 full arts, so scrub I don't. Yeah, this is just all around great attacker. Y Cyclone help stream them, and I don't know what really to say about it. It's a great card. Helps against pretty much every deck. It's pretty much the main focus of the deck. I guess I'll just do the energy now. Why not? We have 2 double colorless, and then 8 dark. I'd like to have 9, and I also like to have 3 DCE. I think the dark energy is more important though. If I was gonna add an energy, I would add a 9th dark before a 3rd dark or before a 3rd double colorless. Just because I noticed that I Juniper Ultra Ball away DCEs sometimes when I run 3, and I just think to myself, well, if that was a dark energy, then I could have dark patched it back. But since it's a double colorless, it's essentially just a waste. Just for the consistency, I'd like to run more dark, just like 9. Maybe even a Professor's Letter. I've considered that, but it's hard to find room for it. Yeah, I don't really find that I need more than 2 double colorless energy. I mean, maybe now that I have Boufflant, that's a recent change I made. I might go up to 3, but I think 2 is just good for the moment. At the moment. Yveltal EX has good synergy with Boufflant because you can Y Cyclone and move a double colorless to Boufflant and then just set up an attack for the next turn, so that's really nice. Then for my Ace Spec, I have Dowsing Machine. This could easily be computer search. I just went with the dowsing machine because everybody seems to like it, and I couldn't decide which one to go with, so I just decided dowsing machine. It's also good for recovering Colress or any supporter you want, or even your Burbank City Gym, as well as any other trainer and discard pile. So that's the ace pick of choice. Computer search is also very good though. I wouldn't take that off the list if you're thinking about both. Switch is great for the mirror match because you'll stay asleep sometimes when your opponent plays a laser, or against any other deck that plays laser. Switch is good. And I guess sometimes you just need to get out of the active position too, so it's nice for that. But it's mostly just there for the mirror match. It's great for getting out of sleep. So that's mostly why I have it. I like to run two, but I don't really have room. If you find that your metagame has a ton of Yveltal, I would go just two switch and maybe tag out an enhanced hammer or maybe a muscle band because I have three in this list. This one enhanced hammer is good against pretty much every tier 1 deck, including Brisean Genesect, Plasma, Fairies, and both Yveltal variants. And I think I might be missing another deck, but basically it's good against a bunch of decks because pretty much everything runs special energy right now besides maybe Blastoise and Ember, which aren't very good anymore anyway. So enhanced hammer is great against pretty much everything, and I think it's very important to include at least one. Maybe I used to run two, but it's hard to find space, so now I'm just down to one. We have 3 Pokemon Catcher. This helps the mirror match a lot. I noticed that the Garbodor variant has a little bit of a tougher time in the mirror match, as opposed to if I was just running straight Yveltal. So I like to have 3 catcher because I know that helps the mirror match. Because basically the way it works is the first person to knock out the other person's Yveltal is going to kind of win, honestly. Because what usually happens is you both sit behind your non-EX attackers like Sableye and Bouffalant and Yveltal and power up your benched Pokemon. And then the first person to knock out, the other person's non-EX is just going to start the battle because you'll Evo Ball, and then your opponent will Evo Ball, and then you'll Evo Ball, and you just bang each other back and forth. That sounds really wrong. That's not the way I meant to say it, but basically what I mean is you want to be the first person to deal damage, and if you have 3 catcher, it increases your chances of being that first person more than if you had 2. Also, Sableye can junk hunt for catchers, and it's nice to have 3 so that you can get one in the discard pile if you flip tails early. For the tools, we have 3 Muscle Band and 3 Floatstone. I don't know where my 3rd Reverse Muscle Band is. I know that probably bothers some people with OCD, but anyway, 3 Muscle Band is nice. This 3rd Muscle Band is really just a luxury card, as I like to call it. I like having 3, but it could easily be a tech or something else. I just like the consistency of it. You could easily take this out for a 4th laser, which you'll see in a minute, but I just find it's a little bit better in my opinion, because it'll consistently do 20 extra damage, whereas Laser is only doing 10 extra damage if Burbank City Gym is not in play. So, yeah, and then 3 Floatstone, it's consistent enough. I'd like to have 4, but it's not that important, so 3 is good enough for me. I also like that I have 6 tools, because it'll consistently make it so that when I get Garbodor out, I have a tool for it. 3 Ultra Ball. I like to maximize the amount of good cards to have in my deck when I get N to a low amount of cards, so I don't like to run 4 because that'll just be one more dead card at the end of a game. 3 seems to be a good enough number for me. It'll just, gets my Pokemon when I want it. I've pretty much run 3 Ultra Balls since I started playing Darkrai, which was like pretty much a year ago, so 3 Ultra Ball is very trusty. Then we have 4 Dark Patch, pretty much standard in every Dark deck. I think we saw Kyle Sukovich only run 3 in his most recent Yveltal Garbodor list. And that's pretty strange to me, but I think 4 is very good. I'd run 5 actually if I could, but that's against the rules. So, yeah, 4 standard, pretty self-explanatory. 2 Burbank City Gym, 3 Hypnotoxic Laser. Like I said, this could be 4th laser could be the Muscle Band spot if you want to have that instead. I think if I was running 3 Burbank City Gym, I definitely would run 4 laser instead of just the 3, because then I would consistently be doing 30 damage instead of 10 sometimes. It's really up to you. 3 Burbank City Gym is nice, but I don't find it's too important. You just have to make sure you're the person that puts their stadium down second. If your opponent, you have to wait till your opponent puts down their stadium to put down yours, basically, and then you'll win the stadium war. So that is kind of a problem, but I find it's not too big of a deal. A lot of decks just put them down immediately without thinking about it anyway. So for the draw support, we have 2 Colress, 4 N, for Juniper, 3 random receiver, and 1 bicycle. 4N for Juniper, standard every deck. 2 Chorus, just to draw lots of cards. It's very useful. It used to be you just run 2 bicycle, 4N for Juniper, and 3 random receiver, and then no Chorus. But after the decks have evolved and stuff, and after the deck has become a lot more aggressive, people realize that it's good to run Chorus, and it's not that big of a risk of random receiving into Chorus early game, because you actually only have a 20% chance of running into it, because you have 10 supporters, and then 2 out of the 10 are Chorus, meaning you have 20% chance, which isn't that big of a risk, actually. And even if you do, you probably have some bench Pokemon, and your opponent does, even early game. So it is not that much of a risk. It's a risk I'm willing to take. Sorry, I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. The 1 bicycle is basically just for late game. It can help mid game sometimes too, but mostly it'll just help when your opponent ends you down to a low number of cards, and then you can use this and then use the supporter, or use a supporter and then get this. So it's very nice for that reason. 3 random receiver. This is great for Sableye being able to junk hunt for it if you run out of a supporter, like I was talking about earlier. Also, it's great for just thinning your deck, actually, because if you use a random receiver and get a supporter, that's like you're using 2 cards to achieve 1 supporter, if that makes sense. So it'll thin your deck more quickly, make it so that you hit more items and more cards that you want more quickly. So I like random receiver a lot. We've pretty much seen it in most dark decks for a long time, and it is very good. So I think that's about it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more, like if you like the video, and comment if you want to tell me.